Welcome back to Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett, and I'm back with my friend Charles Kalonji. I almost messed it up, Charles.
That's good. That's perfect. That's right.
Right on. Well, I'm back with Charles, and we had an awesome conversation, prior to this, and I just wanted to have kind of a quick conversation and dive a little bit deeper into a little bit about your background, a little bit about your business, because I think there's some lessons that everyone can learn from your story. So, first of all, thanks for coming back and making the time to have this conversation. One thing that I have been meaning to ask you about, and I got to hear the story about, is I heard that you once had the great fortune to play at Carnegie Hall. Is this true?
Yes, I did. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I was blessed to have been able to do. And it's with my group, Chimarenga Renaissance, and my brother Tendai Marare, another extraordinarily talented musician and brother of mine, and he's like a brother to me, and a lot of other talented musicians. We had the chance to go there and perform with our group, Chimarenga Renaissance, and at the time, I was also handling one of the biggest mortgage pipelines of my whole career. So I'm backstage at Carnegie Hall. I got my laptop, just checking a couple things, making sure the deals are on track, and then going back and practicing with my group. And, that's why it's a blessing to be able to do this career of mortgage and also do another one of my passions, which is music.
Yeah. So, but your music background's diverse, it sounds like. This we've talked about a little bit. So, at Carnegie Hall, you said you were playing a guitar. Is that right?
Yes.
So, playing a guitar in the band, but tell me a little bit about your passion for music. Sounds like you also were, into some hip hop music.
Yes.
I heard you might rap for us here today. I mean, maybe give us a little.
Maybe next episode.
Maybe next episode. Okay.
Ever since I was a little kid, my father was a musician. He was a guitar player and one of the big guitar players from Congo. His name was Raymond Brank. And so growing up as a kid, and my mother also played the guitar. My uncle on my mother's side is an amazing, classical guitarist. So it was just like I was growing up around music, and I couldn't help but be involved with it somehow. And my generation is the generation of hip hop, and from the time I was 6 years old, I remember listening to records. Records. Some people, the younger generation, might know what a record is. It's this piece of vinyl that they make into a circle, and then they put on a turntable where it turns and you put a needle. No, I'm just playing. It's a record. So I would listen to records and, listen to new hip-hop that was coming out. Like, that's at the early stages of hip-hop, and I would kind of learn the cadences and the rhyme patterns and then develop my own at an early age of 6. And, when I moved to Seattle around in the early 90s, that was the time that, a lot of the Seattle music scene was kind of burgeoning, a grunge scene, a lot of early hip-hop groups that, that I got the pleasure of meeting and being able to collaborate with. And, it just went with me all throughout my high school years and college as I went into my, profession, towards the end of my time at UW to become a mortgage loan officer. And it's just been a marriage of the two, and my family, my wonderful wife Janet, and all of my children. It's just a blessing to be able to have that and those experiences.
Yeah. So are you still part of a band today?
Yes. I have a few bands that I play with. My hip hop kind of experimental hip hop that I do, which it basically takes African rhythms and African melodies as well with my guitar playing and production, and hip hop emceeing, and with my boy Tendai, and it's called Chimarenga Renaissance. And then other group where I play more traditional Congolese rumba, or is otherwise known as Congolese soukous, which is a very guitar-driven, very rhythmically oriented type music, Congolese music. And we play festivals and around, and also work on some things on my own as well. But it's just always a passion and a love of mine, and I'm always excited to do it.
Yeah, well, I can tell. Well, I was surprised when I first met you and then heard about your background in music. I had to ask you about it with you being on the podcast here. So let's talk a little bit about mortgage. But so you mentioned Congolese. So you're from your nationality is Congolese American, right?
Yes,
so and you've really found a niche in your business working with. I think you said about half of your clients are Congolese, and then
Yes.
People from other African nations as well, and of course you've been in the mortgage business for a long time, so you work with a lot of Americans and others. But the episode that we recorded before, I think we talked a little bit about serving people who might have a language barrier, who really resonate with you because you understand a little bit more about their background. So maybe talk about your approach to the mortgage business and how it is that you've been able to really build, not maybe intentionally, but a referral network of people with diverse backgrounds. A lot of them like Congolese, like you mentioned, and why you think that is, and why you like serving those communities.
Yeah, so basically, as I kind of explained in our last conversation, before the crash, I was very much at a sort of a kind of a call center kind of a place where I was basically answering phones and trying to have high conversion ratios of, getting people to refinance or purchase or what have you. But it was kind of just like, there was not very much getting to know my customers. I mean, yeah, we get to know them over the phone, but it was, there was not much to differentiate me from other loan officers in the market. I mean, I was a very good loan officer and, did my best with every deal to take care of the customer. But after the crash, when I became a mortgage loan officer in a bank, and, I was doing very well, very successful there. But again, I was not really utilizing my connections or my cultural sphere of influence that I had growing up as a Congolese American in the Congolese community here in Washington State. And when I realized, that more and more of my business was coming because the Congolese community, began to trust me more with helping them buy homes, and the Congolese community was also growing year over year of migrating to Washington State, became a very big kind of hub for a lot of Congolese people, as there are similar hubs in the United States, where my Congolese, people can meet. The need became greater and greater until I realized that I have to really be at the place where I can best help them, and I really have to, focus on helping the people who want my help and who need my help, and they're like, my community members. A lot of them are like family, because in Congolese culture, if somebody's like your elder, you refer to them as like uncle or auntie, even though they're not really your blood uncle or auntie, but it's just that level of respect. And as I know, I'm a Christian, and I go to the Congolese church as well. I helped set that up with also my music abilities, helped set up the worship team there. And so a lot of the pastors knew me, and I would also give a lot of like first-time homebuyer classes in the churches and what have you, and just educating the community, because like Hervé said, there was a lot of misconception about buying a home. And so I just saw that it became to organically grow. And then I just, and like I said, I help everybody that comes to me for help, and I work with anybody in all cultures. I don't discriminate at all. I want to help anybody and everybody with their mortgage needs. But I was being, the people who were really needed me to help them the most was my, Congolese people in the community, which I'm really like grateful for, because, they're the same people that I see every day, and that when there's a wedding, I'm there, and I see the people that I've helped. They're like family. When there's some type of an event, a funeral or something unfortunate, I'm there in the community. And so, yeah, that's basically how it's grown to that point out of referral, people referring me to their family members and me taking the best possible care of them.
Yeah. Well, I think anyone can learn from that, right? I mean, being part of the community, right? Whether it be a church or some other way in which you connect with your local community. Obviously, playing music goes right in hand with with church and whatnot. So I think that's a universal thing. You've just done it very well. I think there is a bit of a language barrier. I did not know that the Congo primarily speaks French, right?
Yes.
So you speak a couple languages.
Yes, I speak obviously English, and then Lingala, and then I speak French, and I speak a little bit of Swahili, enough to get by, but mostly my strongest are Lingala, French, and English.
Yeah. So, and that's something we've talked about in the past is like, there is kind of this next level of, I don't want to say support, but guidance that people need when they don't fully understand, when English is a second language, especially if they haven't learned the language as well or are newer to the country. It does make a big difference to have someone who can help them understand the process, because it's already a complicated process for people that grew up speaking English. Unfortunately, at this stage, we're still at a place where almost every mortgage disclosure, every legal document is required to be in English, and I think that we're starting to see that change in our industry a little bit. It's interesting. I had an opportunity to work with our Washington State DFI and some of our local legislators, and it's interesting because I think that at least at a Washington State level, I think they're trying to change that really at a national level. But what they don't realize is some of the regulation that governs our industry precludes us from being able to communicate in these other languages. And so even if you can speak the language, you got to be very careful about the way in which you do that. And you can't advertise, and you can't provide too much written explanation in another language, because the closing disclosures and those documents aren't in that same language, and it can be seen as misleading. And some of our regulators were even surprised to hear, they're like, they thought it was our industry that was just not making the change. And I'm like, well, no, it's the regulation that's keeping our industry from making that change. It's a very interesting dynamic, but nonetheless, I think it's changing. But in the meantime, I think that people underestimate the need to have, whether it be mortgage or real estate or other professionals, when people are buying, or going through difficult, complex transactions, having someone who not only understands, culturally the way that they think, the way they understand the relationships that they hold, the way that interpersonal relationships are within a family, to understand those things, but then also to be able to bridge the language gap, it makes a big difference. And that's why, I know that here at New American and many companies and here in our region, it is important to, continue to bring people into our industry who are of a diverse background, whatever that diversity may be, because we're a diverse country, and we need to have a diverse level of loan officers, real estate professionals to then service those people, especially those that are immigrants and newer to our industry, or just have that language barrier.
Exactly. And it's, a lot of people, a lot of immigrants that come here, like Hervé said before, they're kind of intimidated by the home buying process, or they think it's some type of insurmountable feat, but they just need somebody to be able to talk to them in their language and explain to them step by step how the process works, reassure them, and kind of guide them through the process as a trusted advisor. And, I'm just thrilled to be able to do that and help as much as I can in whatever capacity. And also, I'm just so happy to see people that I've kind of mentored and helped to, take that leap of faith and get into the business, like Hervé and like Espoir and like many others that I've kind of helped. And now to see the thriving kind of real estate scene that we have in the, Seattle, Tacoma, the Northwest area for the Congolese community, and other, immigrant communities as well, really kind of start to flourish. So I'm excited about that and for the future. You should be excited about it. And, I think that you're doing great things, and maybe you didn't even realize at the time how much you were inspiring people. I didn't. Like I said, I was fresh out of college. I I thought it was just pound the phones and, talk to all these people. And, yeah, I had some, great success during that time as well in my early part of my career, and I learned a lot, but then it's like, I feel like the market naturally, as long as you work hard, you dedicate, every day to do all you can, you'll find that, the market or your referrals end up taking you in a place where you're like, your value is really appreciated, and you just work hard and enjoy to watch it grow. And I'm really happy to see it grow organically for me and for the people that I've helped get into the business as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool to watch, and I've enjoyed it in the time that we've worked together, and I've got to know you a little bit. I want to speak briefly about this House Bill 1474. This is kind of a cool thing here in Washington State, and you had the opportunity to work with Tanya, who works here. She's been on the podcast, but she's part of the Washington Mortgage Bankers Association, which I'm also on the board of, and really passionate about that. But we had an opportunity to work with our local legislators and spearhead and help promote through the independent mortgage bankers and the bankers, credit unions throughout Washington State. But you were asked to come and testify in front of Congress and our legislators here locally, just about some of the hardships that the African American community has had, and this bill in particular. I don't want to get too much into the details about it, but look, it was a step in the right direction of really helping to promote Black homeownership and really provide funds and accessibility, I guess, to housing, and primarily from those that have been kept from being able to purchase homes. So maybe if you want to say just a few words on that.
Yeah, I was really honored to be able to be involved with the helping pass the House Bill 1474, which does away with racially restrictive covenants that had unfortunately been in place in the United States, Washington State, as well as all other states in the United States, where Black people and people of color were prevented from being able to buy a home. And we talk about it like it's like old history or it happened so long ago, but it was really not too long ago, just a few decades ago, that it became Black people were then allowed to start buying real estate in whatever area that they wanted to. And we really don't think. Sometimes we don't think about how much that puts a certain group of people behind another other group of people. So when you say, okay, there's no more racially restrictive covenants anymore, so everybody is just on equal playing ground, it's actually not true, because other groups of people who were not prevented from being homeowners were able to build generational wealth. And generational wealth, as we all know, helps with your children, your children's children, being able to send them to the finest schools, being able to provide things for them. So it basically, is helping to bridge the gap. Black and Black and Hispanic and other people of color are more, likely to face barriers to home ownership than other people, and so it's like helping this group to be able to buy their first home and where they have been prevented before. So it was a very needed bill. Washington State is the first state to pass a bill like this, and hopefully other states will follow suit from our example. And I was just thrilled, and shout out to Tanya Wortham. She's just awesome to work with. She's my boss here at New American Funding, and she's one of the reasons why I came over with my other boss, Andrew Gray. It was just great to see New American Funding come behind us when we said we wanted to do this. And Rick and Patty and Christy just gave us all the support, and I've never had that type of support from a mortgage company that I've worked at, which has the same type of goals and values as I do, and because it's really so that everybody gets their right to a piece of the American dream of being a homeowner, and helping those who have been blocked from being a homeowner for a long time, helping them to become homeowners, because it's really what it's our duty as Americans, and I'm really thrilled to have been a part of that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you giving that background. And, I think that this bill in particular was, it's just one small step. I mean, really, in the whole scheme of things, you can't, what could you possibly do for, generations of, restrictions in certain areas and in many areas of, a whole race of people not being able to purchase or qualify for a home. I can just think of just the wealth that I've generated in just my lifetime as, not even investing in real estate, just owning my first home when I was in my early 20s, and what that allowed me to do, and consolidating debt at times when things were difficult, and using that equity, and so on and so forth. And so this was just one small step, but I think it was a needed kind of first move, and I'm excited that the WNBA got to be part of it. I'm excited that you were able to come alongside and really testify, because you work in those communities every single day. So that was awesome. And I mean, look, it's one of our core values as a company to support diversity. And, I think the more and more we can talk about what that means, I think at first, it's very misunderstood. I want to have more conversations, on market shares about what does that really mean? Because there's a lot of misconceptions about what serving underserved communities means. Just like we talked about earlier, just simply giving someone the ability to work with someone who understands their culture and speaks their language. I mean, is that, a whole lot to ask, and we have the ability to recruit people into our industry. You are recruiting people into our industry, who can then help serve those needs. And we need more of that,
We need more. And that's why I'm so happy to see, the people that I've been, bringing in, seeing them flourish, but also realizing that we have, bring more people, educate more people, both on the sales side and on the consumer side, about the value of home ownership, and it's the biggest investment and the most sound investment you can make in this country. And we got a good fight, but I believe we're doing God's work, and I'm happy. I'm ready to keep going.
Love it. Well, I enjoyed having this conversation. I love your story. It's been so great getting to know you. You have such a diverse background with your music and and your heritage, your cultural background. I've enjoyed learning. I did some research since we've met. About Congo and the country, and it's fascinating. It really is fascinating. I think there's so many things that we take for granted. And I would argue when you learn, and if you haven't done any research on the Congo, like go to YouTube, there's some cool documentaries that will make you realize that, I think Congo is probably not too far of a shift off from being, a powerhouse country in the world. From the amount of natural resources to the hydroelectric power that if they could harness, the Congo River and provide power to the whole continent, the amount of agriculture that could be there, all the minerals that have been deposited because of the volcanoes and stuff like this. I mean, it goes on, but then you look at, how kind of corruption over the years and really, having outside governments come in and try to set up. And I mean, it's a long story. I'm sure we could spend a whole episode, and I'm nowhere nearly qualified to talk about Congo, but it's fascinating to learn about countries like that. And then if you didn't watch the conversation we had with Hervé, it was a great conversation because he's someone who, up until, his teenage years, early 20s, was still in Congo, came here and has done some amazing things. So, take the time and learn about these countries, and I think you'll understand why people, migrate to America, why we have immigrants here, because for so many people, it's not an option to live a healthy, long life in some countries, and so I'm sure that you feel a bit divided, right? That maybe things.
But it's really to give back and to help empower people. Like I said, with the Congolese community in Washington State area, you will see that they are very, because of my hard work and everybody that I've worked with and helped bring up, like there's a great deal of awareness of home ownership here. And there's still a lot of misconceptions, but, we have affected it, and we are kind of changing the narrative behind that and making it, I can buy a house. Oh yeah, talk to Charles, talk to Hervé, talk to, so-and-so. So it's like, I'm just happy that we have shifted that to, that way. And then, as you know, with owning a home, the equity that you earn, and you could end up doing things. I have a lot of people that took their equity and went and started businesses back in Congo. Nonprofit organizations are helping people back there. And it's all through, being able to purchase a home and being able to work hard in this country to be able to give back to their country of origin, which, very good and wholesome principles. So
Yeah. Well, like what I said in the other episode, it appears that, I think that even people that might migrate here from Congo, there's a lot of cultural pride from the Congolese, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and we love America, and like that's why a lot of people, when they come to America, it's like the land of opportunity for them. They can, make something of themselves, and it's such an inspiration to hear, people's story like Hervé and just like countless others that have really done amazing things. A lot of people that I knew that have came are now CEOs of companies here that they've made, and it's just like, it's really inspirational. It's not really about me. I'm just here to help as many people as I can and help show people what I do. If people are interested in what I do, I'm always encouraging them to get into the business, and I'm just happy to be of any help.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm far from an expert, but, I'm a conscious observer. I like to learn about things that I don't understand a lot, and getting to know you and Hervé and just speaking about it, it inspired me to learn more about it, and so I love your guys' story, it's just been fun working together. So thanks again for coming on the podcast, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. As always, getting to know people's backstory and their passions and whatnot. I think it's what really makes us unique. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch these episodes. Like and subscribe, share with your industry friends. And until next time, take care.